Hi there. I'm here to talk about my favorite book that I've read so far in 2023, Burn Baby Burn. This book was written by Meg Medina and published by Candlebook in 2016 and is about 17-year-old Nora Lopez, a Latina girl living in New York City during the 1970s. Medina seamlessly weaves the coming-of-age story with real-life events during the summer of 1977. As Nora faces uncertainty and fear in her life, the city itself pulses with the same vibes. The intensity of Nora's life is utter perfection against the backdrop of New York, summer of 1977. The record-breaking heat of the city and the sweltering nights at the disco. The violent outbursts of her brother and the looting and arson in the city. The city is on edge and Nora is on the brink of adulthood. Oh, and a serial killer is on the loose who seems to be targeting young women with long dark hair. The police and neighbors profile those who are black or brown. The smells, the sounds, the sights. The author writes so you can smell the contents of the dumpsters baking in the sun, taste the delicious chocolate ice cream as it soothes your parched throat, hear the scratch of the turntable, and feel the beat of the disco while the sweat drips between your shoulder blades. To really understand Nora, you have to get into her head. Her mother has made a point to downplay Hector's, Nora's brother's, violent behavior. Mina speaks little English and relies on Nora to act as mediator between Hector, the school, different authorities, and their absent brother. Not wanting to be viewed as lowlifes or become the source of neighborhood gossip, bruises are hidden under long-sleeve shirts, chokers, and excuses, and a whole lot of sacrifices are made by Nora and her mother. On page 133, Pablo, Nora's new boyfriend, discovers that Hector, the same guy that they witnessed kicking a stray and injured dog only days before, is actually her brother. And Nora struggles with how to share that hidden side of her life with Pablo, wondering, how can you make people understand about brothers who hit and spit? How do you explain why you listen at your own front door before going in? How do you explain that it's not only parents who beat their kids, but sometimes the other way around too? Throughout the book, Nora is subjected to racial profiling. And when she notices an amped up police presence patrolling her school, she finds herself questioning a teacher's explanation of safety precautions. Safety precaution. Interesting. Then why is it that having cops everywhere makes me feel so scared? Finally, I wanted to share a moment from Nora's 18th birthday. She and her best friend celebrate by going to the disco, and for a brief flash of time, we see her really let loose of her worries and just be a kid. In no time, I'm lost in the beat, the air thick with Charlie perfumes, cigarettes, and sweat as we spin and bump. The light show pulses in time, brightening the smoky haze suspended above us. Okay, so what was actually happening in New York summer of 1977? A fiscal crisis causes everyone to be afraid of layoffs and checks bouncing. Fridges are bare and the temperatures hit record highs. Streets and parks are empty as people fear for their lives as the serial killer son of Sam terrorizes the city. And then one night, everything goes completely dark. The city experiences a complete loss of power in every borough. Businesses are looted, fires blaze unattended, and hospitals overflow. For about 25 hours, it's just complete and utter madness and chaos. A little bit later, at one point, a bus was hijacked by a man and taken to JFK, where he murdered 2 people in a hostage standoff. Nora's reaction to this news is of utter ambivalence, having these thoughts. But here's what's really weird. We're all too hot and tired to even care. In fact, no one acts surprised because face it, what disaster hasn't happened this year? We're burning, we're broke, we're laid off, we're ripping each other off of being murdered or pulling the trigger. So On this slide, you can see images of real life newspapers and photos from this chaotic summer in New York. These are actual ones that I pulled. They're not from the book, but these are the events that the author talks about. So who should read this book? I'm going to say everyone, because I loved it that much. I think this book will appeal to readers of a lot of different ages, young adult and up. Some older readers may have memories of this time, and younger readers can learn some recent history with a realistic main character that you just have to root for throughout the whole book. A warning though, if you are in an abusive situation or have been one in the past, this book may have some triggering moments. Hector's treatment of his sister and his mom can be graphic and intense at times. And because I want you to actually read this, know this book isn't just all the bad things that happen. Nora really grows a lot as a person and has some genuinely loving relationships in her life. These little pockets of happiness and hope really shine in the book. If you want to learn more about the blackout of 1977 or more information about the events of that summer, feel free to scan the QR code embedded in the disco ball on this slide. It will take you to the New York Public Library's website, which is a wonderful resource, and they have a whole page dedicated to this event. And finally, if you like this book and want to read others with similar vibes, check out these 3 books listed here. Learning to Not Drown is a young adult book about Claire, who has very similar family dynamics to Nora, mostly involving her brother in that situation. The storyline and the setting are different, but the main characters have a lot in common. High Spirits is a story that explores family through multiple generations and how your family and your culture really shape your identity, which is something that also Nora had to work through during her story. And lastly, Blackout is a new book by 6 popular young adult authors who have created unique storylines about 6 different couples during that fateful blackout of 1977. So I hope you enjoy Burn Baby Burn or one of these other suggestions. Thanks.